Continuing with test 5B, the next question is they give you this and we have to get all the characteristics and we also have to sketch. So here we go. Alright, so we have this function and the first thing is we need to realize that this one is A, the coefficient is B, so that's a 1, that's C, and this is D. Alright, so the amplitude is the absolute value of the leading coefficient. It's already positive, so the answer would be a 3. Period is 2 pi times 2 pi over B. What is B? B is 1. Alright, so this is 2 pi over 1. So it's just 2 pi. Alright, so the period is 2 pi. Frequency is B over 2 pi, so 1 over 2 pi. Remember, pi goes in the denominator. So frequency is 1 over 2 pi. Phase shift is going to be negative C over B. Negative, never forget the negative sign. What's the C value? C is pi over 4. And we're going to divide by the B value. B is 1. And once again, we do keep, change, flip, but it doesn't matter. Anything divided by 1 is 1, so we don't even have to do this. So it's just negative pi over 4. Okay, negative pi over 4. And the vertical shift we said is the easiest. It's just the D value. D happens to be 2, so the vertical shift happens to be 2. Alright, you have to get the max, midline, and min. The vertical is the midline. I mean, you can't get this wrong. Whatever the vertical shift is the midline. You rewrite it. Alright, to get the maximum, add the amplitude. The amplitude is 3. What's 2 plus 3? 5. What's 2 minus 3? There you go. Now you have to calculate the x values. Alright, the first thing you need to remember about this trick that I'm going to show you is that P is the period. So in this problem, the period happens to be 2 pi and the phase shift negative pi fourths. So the period is 2 pi and the phase shift is negative pi over 4. Okay. So you do 0 times the period plus the phase shift. 1/4 times the period plus the phase shift. 2/4 times the period plus the phase shift. So on, 3/4, 4/4. So the trick here is 0. It gets 0 over 4, 1 over 4, 2 over 4, 3 over 4, 4 over 4. Each of those numbers you multiply it by the period and then you add the phase shift. And I'm going to show you on the calculator. Okay, hold on. Alright, this is what it looks like on the calculator. And then you press enter. And that would be the answer. Now this is because this calculator accepts pi. So what does it look like when the calculator doesn't accept pi? I'm going to show you that. First I'm going to write down the answer. Negative 1/4 pi. This is what my calculator would look like if it didn't accept pi. So I used to have a pi right here. And I used to have a pi over there. So I just put a 1 in its place. And I press the enter key and I get the negative 1/4. So what I would do is I would write the negative 1/4 and then I would tag on the pi. This is the second calculation. 1/4 times the period plus the phase shift. Press enter and we get positive 1/4 pi. Next calculation, 2/4 times the period plus the phase shift. And we get 3/4 pi. Alright, the next calculation is 3/4 times the period plus the phase shift. Press the equal sign and you get 5/4 pi. 5/4 pi. The last calculation. And we get 7/4 pi. And there you go. If you have any questions on how to type into the calculator, just go ahead and rewind the video, okay? Alright, so those will be your x values, and now we're going to do the sketching. Alright, so you start with an x and y axis and you look at your x values. One is negative, the other ones are positive. None of them are 0, so none of them, this does not go through the origin. So 1's negative, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 numbers. I'm going to write them. Negative 1/4 pi, 1/4 pi, 3/4 pi, 5/4 pi. We find the maximum. We said that the maximum was 5 and the minimum was negative 1. So if the maximum is here, this is 5, and here it would be negative 1. Alright, and it's irrelevant. This is the midline. This is y equals 2. Oops, sorry, you guys can't see. My apologies. Alright, y equals 2. The max will be here, and I'm going to draw a dash line, and this will be the minimum. Do not misinterpret. This one is not y equals 0. This is y equals 2. Plus 3 you have the max, minus 3 you have the minimum, which is negative 1, okay? And now to sketch it, this is a positive sine function, so it's going to do this, okay? So at the first point, you're on the midline. At the next point, you're at the maximum. At the next point, you're on the midline. At the next point, you're on the minimum. And at the next point, you're on the midline. And then you do your semicircles. All right, thanks.